Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on Nigerian newspapers. And I have with me in the studio broadcast journalist Funke Treasure and public affairs analyst Oladeinde Ariyo. Funke, good morning.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Good morning.
Happy New Month.
Oh, same to you.
Yeah.
Same to you.
We've seen for the first time this month.
Right, that's true. All right.
Okay, Happy New Month.
Yeah, same to you. Thank you.
Anyway, let's head straight to the papers now. And we begin with the Daily Trust. Many killed as 21-story building collapses in Lagos. Many killed as 21-story building collapses in Lagos. A sad story there. And then we move to this Nigerian newspaper. Lagos building collapse, tragic, sad. Over 50 persons feared buried in rubble. Pillar cracked shortly before collapse. Worker. Lagos orders immediate probe. Why we pulled out of construction site from a structural consultant. Explains. You find the details on the pages of this Nigerian newspaper. All right, to the first news newspaper. Death toll rises in Lagos building collapse. 7 corpses retrieved while many allegedly trapped. Owner of building arrested, accused of erecting 21 stories as against 15. Details on the pages of the first news newspaper. To the blueprint now. Prowess Engineering in Ikoyi, 21-story building collapse. We withdrew because our client insisted going beyond 4th floor. 4 dead, 4 others rescued. Owner, 50 others trapped. Eyewitness. All right, to the front page of the News Direct. Outrage, shock as 21-story building collapse kills 6, traps developer as Lagos State government orders probe. All right, to the Daily Sun now. 6 dead, many trapped in Lagos 21-story building collapse. Developer Oshibono among recovered bodies. Sanwo-Olu orders immediate probe. All right, to the Punch newspaper now. 10 die as 21-story building collapses in Lagos. Designer warned of tragedy. About 40 workers were on site while the building came down, says eyewitness. Developer, engineers, clients, others trapped. Sanwo-Olu orders investigation. To the Nigerian Tribune, still talking the same story on building collapse. 21-story Ikoyi building collapse. 4 dead, 3 rescued, many trapped. Sanwo-Olu orders probe as rescue workers intensify search for survivors. Owner of building feared killed. Building meant to have serviced flats. All right, to this day newspaper now. Collapsed 21-story Ikoyi building. Sanwo-Olu orders immediate probe. Property is without procedural approval, says Lagos government. Buhari urges emergency institutions to provide support, commiserates with victims' families. First responders dig into the night to find survivors trapped in the rubble. Billionaire property owner among scores of others feared dead. Industry stakeholders express worry about implications. You find the details on the pages of this day newspaper. To the Vanguard newspaper now. Consultant ignored on collapsed 21-floor tower in Lagos. Consultant road developer February 2020 over poor execution quits. 6 rescued alive, 4 dead. Food vendor daughter, others still trapped. About 50 of us, including owner, were in the building. Survival relatives throng scene. Military takes over operations. Sanwo-Olu orders probe. Resident blame government for negligence. All right. To the Daily Times, Buhari to youth. See yourselves as Nigeria's greatest asset, says young people remain center of policy making in federal government's investment development agenda. To the Leadership newspaper now. COVID-19, 10 months after federal government yet to release 10 billion naira for vaccine production. To Business Day, Nigeria's power sector at 4,000 megawatts 8 years after privatization. And to the Nation newspaper, Minister, government owes 774,000 jobs beneficiaries 7.3 billion naira. Bank issues to blame, says Kiamo. Payment will be before year end. All right, you find the details on the pages of the Nation newspaper. Now to the national economy. China, Israel, utilization of diaspora remittances hold lessons for Nigeria. And Daily Independent is the final paper here. It says National Assembly draws flag over uncalled for interference in aviation. Stakeholders condemn lawmakers for halting new handling rates. Well, that's all on the front pages this morning. But let's look at this tragic incident that happened yesterday that is on almost all the papers this morning, talking about the collapsed building in Ikoyi. A lot of persons will say one too many, especially for Lagos State. And a lot of persons are still said to be trapped in the building. We do not know the number, but speaking to our correspondent this morning, she said 5 persons have been rescued. Yes, rescue operations were halted as at the time she was there. We hope that rescue operation will continue as we get along. But then let's get your reaction to this issue of the collapsed building we see reoccurring in Lagos. So many reasons to it, but then let's get your sense of what you make of it.
Well, it didn't just make headlines at home. It's also making headlines on international media, which is pathetic, because Nigeria once again is making headlines internationally for the wrong reasons. The moment I got that news alert yesterday, I just went my hands over my head like, oh my God, there will be a woman selling, if there aren't 2 of them selling food, a food vendor and other people around her, what's going to be their fate? It's even more tragic to hear that before the eventual collapse yesterday, this building vibrated, persistently before it eventually collapsed yesterday. Number one, it brings to the fore the negligence from our own government officials.
Right.
Because if you had approved a 15-story building and it's gone on to 21-story,
what did you do?
Didn't stop them. This comes back to the issue of graft. Why didn't Lagos State stop the building, the continual building of this story building? Number one. Number two, given the pension for building collapse in Lagos, why did the Lagos State government, we're going to blame the government, why did the Lagos State government allow this to happen? I've been reading and following up on the developments so far. All kinds of agency heads and parastatals have moved to the site. What were they all doing before the collapse? It's just, as you said, one collapse too many.
Ariyo, let's get your perspective to this. Are you going to blame the government as well?
I'm not going to blame the government, and I'll tell you why. As very early last year, the social engineers that were on site, they wrote to withdraw their services, and they gave reasons, which of course is basically lack of compliance with known standards for such a building. There was also the approval issued for 12 stories, not 21.
15 actually.
They were saying it's 15.
So later they said 15. But for me, if they said 12 or 15, on what platform was the owner standing to now erase the bar? Instead of blaming government now as a masquerade, I will blame the agency in charge of approvals and monitoring of construction of such high-riser.
Are you not under government?
It's what we say. Listen, I'm not saying no. I mean,
okay, you want to be specific.
Let's be specific. Let's narrow it down. If you say government, are you blaming LASMA? You understand me? That's what I'm saying. Let's narrow. There's a specific agency in charge of that task. And then when the structural engineer withdrew from the site,
I should have raised an alarm.
They reaching to the agency to inform them that we are leaving this place and state their reasons. There's another video where the sponsor of the building, with his sister and some white people, were talking and saying that those guys were the best in the world and boasting about their capability to deliver the building. if we take the stand of blaming government, that's very opaque. But when we go down to the agency, they can pick specific people who must be brought to book and be made to pay their
This issue of bringing persons to book, this is not the first time buildings are collapsing in Lagos.
You see, because, it's not
I mean,
the first
how many
time.
persons have been brought to book?
I'm saying perhaps as a way forward.
I'm just allowing
Let's
you to
go
learn
back.
so that I go back to the government.
How many persons have been brought to book?
You see,
does that show proactiveness on the part of the government?
I know that Nigeria is an environment of no consequence. People do.
Should we allow that fester? People's lives are being lost.
That's what
properties.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you know the last time, Ariyo, the last time we had a building collapse, it had to do with school children.
Let me tell you.
Who were brought to book by the government.
That's why I'm saying, if only to indicate that government means business and that the lives of people are important in their arrangements, they should go. People are paid, they are maintained to stay on that desk and approve and monitor and ensure that proper things are done. Now there's a huge failure. It's been happening. For once, let's go and strike where it hurts most, and that is the agency that's in charge. If we don't do that, it will continue to happen.
And
but
so
if people if they are sent to jail.
So what you are saying, we should set a precedence with this.
For
Do we have to wait till now to set a precedence? We saw what happened.
We didn't have to wait.
After the 2019 collapse of where school children were involved, the government went ahead to demolish some structures. Yes,
and then nothing was brought to book.
Yes.
Beyond that, if people had been pinpointed and sent to jail,
isn't it the same thing? Who will send them to jail? Who will enforce?
Is it not the government?
Isn't it the government? Now, what I see is in Lagos, it is a matter of who you know and how high profile you are. If it were a regular, everyday person, he will be brought to book. But if it's a billionaire, millionaire personality, he gets away with it because he knows the right people in the big places. And this must stop because the embarrassment is on us all. People are dying, and you begin to wonder what's even the value of a Nigerian, of the life of a Nigerian. Why do we have to keep losing people this way? What does it cost to maintain enforcement and to ensure that buildings are properly supervised in Lagos? Why do we have to wait till this? You're saying the government should be absolved from the bill. How? It is your duty to secure lives and property. We had school children. Many school children died in that last one on Lagos Island.
Nothing has come out of that.
Children. Nobody was brought to book. And now we have a billionaire constructor, what will I call him? Building constructor, who had defied all rules and regulations in building that particular at that particular site. Nobody held him to account. When the people you quoted earlier withdrew from consulting for that building, what agency was that in Lagos? What did they do?
Well, they were not notified. I read the letter. I said,
were they supervising?
Were they
actively
to have been notified? Okay, that really brings the weight on them. When we keep saying government, you see, if you don't narrow it down to
I read the letter of the people who withdrew the company.
Then they will continue to escape.
Perhaps what she's saying is if government is not putting pressure or pushing people to be on their toes to deliver on what they are supposed to, we wouldn't be having cases like this.
When we say government, we're looking at the entire structure.
Yes.
But the entire structure now is not responsible for building supervision. There's a particular agency.
Right.
Somebody heads that agency.
It's a chain. It's a chain.
They are the ones that they should go after. Not just government. Government is opaque. It's not clear. That's where I am.
It's clear.
We keep creating space for people to escape from punishment and justice where they misbehave. The same characters will spend 35 years in service and go out to be collecting pension for doing shoddy jobs all through their service years. But if along the way they've been found wanting, they were tried and found guilty, and they've been sent to jail, they won't come back to come and begin to claim any pension. And those who are on the table, or those who will be appointed individual, they have a right to say, look, if you mess up, you will end up like so person, and they will sit up.
Who are these they? Who is the they who will
That's
do
the
this?
question.
I have told you that the specific
agencies
that head the agency,
who heads
all
the
the departmental
agency?
heads.
I worked in the civil service for so long. This is how it works. The civil service is under the state government or the federal government. It is the work of this agent. For instance, that agency in charge of this is an agency under a particular ministry. Hold on. Under a particular ministry. So this agency is found wanting. Which ministry answers to that? This urban and regional planning, if that's what it's called in Lagos. Then
it's another one. There are so many.
okay, there's a ministry in charge of all of those agencies. Just as you have the Federal Ministry of Information, you have News Agency of Nigeria under it, FRCN under it, NTA under it. That's how it works. So you have all these agencies under a ministry that supervises. So what did that particular ministry do? What has it done over the years? Hold on.
I don't know if
then
not getting it.
The work of the state government is to secure lives and property in that state. Lives and the property. Building collapses on that property.
Lives were lost.
Lives were lost. So to prevent the loss of lives and property, the government has the onus to say, this has happened, you know, this is happening all the time.
What she's trying to say
we
is
will now focus
proactive
on this.
Look, I don't know why we are flogging this. When we have traffic issues, everybody in Lagos, they know who to attack, right? When we have security issues, we know who to attack. I'm talking of building collapse. There are maybe 2 or 3 organizations that are saddled with the tasks. They should be the one that they should go for. When you say government, will you not? I mean, you don't have to pack the entire structure into the fray. Those who fail to do their jobs should be the one that should pay for it.
In the
So
past,
that we know.
are they paid?
Look, this is
Set
not
a precedent.
That's what others we know that okay, now it's no longer business as usual. Your agency runs foul of any procedure or standard, you pay for it. I don't think we've had 10, 20 or 30 behind bars now. I
We
can
don't
assure
see
you,
what is
this
happening.
would have happened.
Right.
Yes, those who are sitting there will know, oh, the man who interviewed me when I was employed is in jail for fumbling. So
We're
I don't want to follow his
saying the same
footsteps. Then I mean, punishment was followed
We're
in the
saying the same
Right.
thing.
That's where I am.
We're
Right.
saying the same thing.
No.
Punishment will have to be at the instance of the government in power at that time, or the governor. When it happened yesterday, who was the first person to get there? The deputy governor. He had to go there because now this is something that is affecting the states and the perception of the state and Nigeria. And then what has the governor done? Governor Sanwo-Olu has said,
Ordered investigation, yeah.
they're not separated from what has happened. The ministry is going to answer to them at the state level. But for now, they are all to blame for it, which was why they moved immediately to that side, which was why immediately the governor is asking for a probe. How did it happen? Ministry, you failed. What do? We move on, we bring these people to justice. All I am saying this morning is every time, and that's the same thing you've reiterated, every time this happens, we hear that they will be brought to book. Nobody is brought to book.
True.
So at the end of the day, who brings people to book? It's still the same government through the agency.
I would rather we focus on who to bring to book. It's established that
It's
the government
the same
business.
agency
Right.
They
head.
will do that,
Right.
but who to bring to
The
book?
summary
That's my concern.
of everything is the fact that we need to look at bringing persons
Exactly.
to book.
You
To
can't
serve
sit there,
as deterrent.
you can't
Yes.
sit there as CEO, GM, or whatever, enjoying office perquisites, driving free car and all of that things, and then you are not adding value to governance. The reason why you should be taken out and punished.
Yes.
And that's my position. I don't know what else to say regarding this beyond all of that. If you keep saying government, that's opaque for me. Be specific. Okay, this is a program we are running, right? If anything goes wrong during this program, the producer, you presenter, they should be taken out, not TVC. Do you understand? That's where I'm going. Because we have created an environment of no consequence. People easily hide under organizations. They do things and they escape. But bring them out. Remove the facade of government. Bring them out. Let them face the consequences of their misdemeanor. That's my position.
All right, let's quickly go to the scene of the incident where our correspondent Sarah Ikoyi has been standing by. She will be bringing us updates now. Sarah, quickly talk to us. What's happening as we speak? Sarah, can you hear me?
We see that rescue operation has resumed. So what you have there is that emergency responders are still trying to get people that are trapped in there. We also understand that for now, an official statement is not out yet, but what we understand is that 4 persons are dead, were recovered last night, over the night. 5 persons have been rescued and taken to the hospital. So what we're just expecting now is that the rescue operation will just probably end successfully, so that family members around here can get their loved ones out of the place on time. So it's been a very traumatic night, especially for family, friends of those who are trapped there, even for those who are trapped in the rubble. And we see that people have been here all through the night. Some persons say that emergency responders were here up till about some minutes before 12, before they left the scene to resume rescue operations this morning. So some of the family members that we saw earlier, were not too happy about the rescue efforts that have been ongoing. They say that they were expecting that the emergency responders will be here all through the night to rescue their family members. They are not too happy with that, but emergency responders are here at the scene right now and trying to see what they can do, how they can save those who are still under the rubble.
Sarah, talking about family members who have been, waiting and looking forward to 1 or 2 members of their families who are there, did you speak with them on perhaps what their family members were doing at that building before it collapsed?
We may not be able to get that information yet because, of course, people are angry, people are sad about the incident. So we may not be able to get that kind of information now until after the incident, or after they are able to get their loved ones out. All they want is that the emergency responders are able to get their family members out of the building on time, and some of the construction workers that are probably under the building. So, of course, we do not have the identity. We cannot ascertain the identity of those who are still under the rubble yet. But this today reminds you, if you go back in 2019, it reminds you of the Tafaji incident. It rained overnight. It brings to memory what happened on Lagos Island in 2019, March 13, 2019. And of course, there have been conversations about why would buildings collapse, particularly this one, which was under construction. So a lot of conversation is ongoing about the integrity of the building that collapsed. We saw a statement from the Lagos State Control Building Agency last night saying that preliminary investigations revealed that the materials used for this building is inferior compared to what they're supposed to use for this kind of building. Also, we understand that the owner of the property got an approval for a 15-floor building, and apparently we have a 21-story building here. So a lot of conversation, of course, will still be ongoing. We also know that the Lagos State Governor has, of course, said that there will be investigations will be conducted to see who is responsible, actually to hold somebody accountable for this incident. So for now, we know that the casualty figure, we do not know for now. We may likely increase. Hopefully it doesn't. We know that 4 persons have been confirmed dead by the emergency responders, and 5 persons have been taken to the hospital. So we're still just trying to get information. Of course, have our fingers crossed to see that emergency responders can as well do their work and rescue those persons under the rubble, which is the focus right now. The back end story could come up and conversations could come up sometime later, but the focus right now is how do we get these people trapped under the rubble out of there.
Definitely, Sarah. And we'll definitely get back to you for more on what is happening with regards to emergency response there. Now, some things came up while she was speaking. She said that from the statement that came out, there talks about the use of substandard materials. Substandard materials.
Lagos, we have a material testing agency. Now, you can see where I'm going now.
They
She also
failed.
mentioned LAFSCA.
Yeah.
They
Two
failed.
agencies are already distinct out of the structure, right? They should go after those two. Let them come and tell us what they knew about the arrangements.
But we keep
There
that.
may be
begging
other bodies,
the-
don't
the
forget,
question.
that may also be part of it. So instead of just saying government, let's go after the specific
Right.
agencies.
I want to believe that we have moved
We've
from
moved
that.
beyond that.
Yes.
What I see is a conspiracy of graft. Because if there's a building testing unit or
Material
agency,
testing.
material testing agency, and they watched while substandard materials were used for that building, they failed.
It may
Then
not
we
be
look
graft,
at-
it may be negligence.
Okay, giving it a different
Yes.
name. Yeah.
Negligence.
It may be negligence.
That they are collecting salary,
But this is
receiving
not the
salaries
first
every
time
month.
No, no,
we
when we say
hear
it's
to not
about
do their job.
the
What-
use
what
of
I'm trying to-
substandard
I don't want
materials
us to
in
paint
buildings.
the picture that virtually it's been about they've been paid to look away. Okay, they may have been negligent, which I'm not saying it's as an excuse.
So-
So that's a possibility too.
Okay, so let
the
me
the
move
way
on.
to go for me is henceforth let people be punished
Right.
for this.
Let
Let
me
her
no
finish.
matter what
Let her
it
finish.
entails.
Let her finish.
Let her finish.
They, to use your words, this is not a fight. To use your word, negligence. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. And I believe that they're not supposed to be sitting in their office testing materials for buildings. They're supposed to be on the field. You recall the Lekki Aja building collapse some time ago. I'm not sure whether it's 2019. It was a building under construction as well. I think it was a building of luxury apartments somewhere along the Lekki Aja way. I know that there was a prosecution at the end of the day. Do you remember? There was a prosecution at the end of the day. Did it deter the relevant agencies, two of which you have mentioned, from being negligent again? Are there punitive measures taken against the civil servants who were supposed to be supervising these construction sites across Lagos State? Lagos is asking for a special status. No other state has high-rise buildings like we have except Abuja. We have such a high number. So it is a call to duty, it's an extra call to duty for Lagos state officials in the ministry that
Knowing
is in
that
charge.
Lagos is becoming a hub
Yes.
for substandard building materials.
Ikoyi in particular has a lot of high-rise buildings. So if a high-rise building is springing up in Ikoyi-Lekki axis, we expect that there will be extra supervision, such that we will not be listening to somebody tell us about substandard materials for a 21-story building. That's death in the waiting.
Maybe we should get it to this corner. They now saying substandard materials. So they knew. Why didn't they come out to say you cannot continue? That's
Now
why
you're
I'm saying
talking.
they should be made to pay for it. That means they were negligent. Whether they were giving money or induced or not,
We
it's
can't
not-
prove
we
that.
can't prove that. But it was obvious that there's a case of negligence on their part. The Joshua synagogue church, the case is there, unsettled. That's why I said we should be specific now. The case is in court and it's been dragging like that, which again brings in the judiciary and their own roles too in seeing that even when efforts are made to let people pay for their misdemeanor, now the judiciary now brings in brickbats and then bring in walls and delays and all of that. Unfortunately, the man behind the church is even gone now. If you find him guilty, what goes? So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we should be specific. Whoever needs to be punished should
But
be
still talking
isolated and punished.
substandard materials.
So
There are
unfortunately,
those
again, the people who said
who
the
are
building
saying-
was vibrating,
yeah.
they are irresponsible people.
How do you mean?
They should have reported. You don't keep quiet in this. I mean, you must be a good neighbor. If anything is going on around you that is unwholesome, speak out.
Right.
If they are petitioning,
Perhaps they didn't know the right channels.
They should have been in the National Assembly, the State Assembly, or the Government or whatever. That would have been on record that, oh, we did. The company that was handling their structural, when they moved away, nobody will now go and blame them. Why? They officially wrote. I even said they should remove their names and logo from everything.
All right, quickly. That will be your final one.
I support your view that the people living around the building site were grossly irresponsible. I'm sure there's a estate association or neighborhood association there. They were irresponsible.
But you know this thing in Nigeria where people say, I'm minding my business.
Yeah, you mind your business, but something was vibrating in the neighborhood. We must have this citizen agency, the ability to say this will affect me by and by and do the right thing. If you go to report, you will alert the right authorities to go there. False, true or false, they will at least go there to see what's going on.
Right.
What goes round comes round.
Right, and that's a fine place to leave this conversation. Thank you, Funke Treasure. Thank you, Oladeinde Ariyo, for your time on the program.